Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Navy FODDER, my name is Ate. Today we've got a new patch, the drone shite. Sorry, the drone wars, something about drones. I don't care. So, yeah, the drone age brings some new cool models to the game and I'm super excited by them. New visuals which look amazing to be honest, and a few changes into the armor, changing how the shells interact with different layers of armor, which might shake the meta a little bit, but only time will say about that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited by these changes and I can't wait to try them in game. But yeah, let's just go point by point about what has changed in this patch, and yeah, let's dive in. Okay, so naval weaponry. USS Douglas, the system of replenishing missiles after they have been expended has been changed. Now missiles will be replenished only when they are fully expended. The ability to detonate them from damage to or destruction of the launchers has been added. It's not a big deal. I suppose the Douglas players are gonna see the difference, but I don't think it's gonna be a huge difference into the reload rate. The PG-2, the air target detection radar, has been removed, not big deal again. A PT-15 has got a better torpedo now. The Prince Eugen has more torpedoes, more reloads, which, yeah, sound. The USS Arizona, the reload time for the main caliber guns has been reduced from 50 to 40 seconds, and this is huge. I mean, this is a whole 10 seconds change. The IJN Tone, the Aoba, Agano, and Mikuma, the guidance speed of the twin and triple barrel 25mm mounts with electric guidance drives have been increased from 12 degrees per second to 18, and vertical 10 to 12 degrees per second. Sound, the anti-air department of the Japanese is a bit lacking, so this is gonna help to get those guns on target as soon as they have somebody in range. So yeah, sound. Then on the other side, the Suzuya, the guidance speed of the twin and triple barrel 25mm mounts without the electric drives have been reduced. Okay. The HMAS Arrow, the time required to pump water out of the ship compartments has been reduced. So yeah, better survivability for a now 5.3 ship. And now they have changed a few guns, and this is mainly German guns. The muzzle velocity for shells on the following cannons has been corrected. This is 6-inch guns and a few secondaries. I don't see that this is going to be a major change, but I see the Z-32, for example, because the main battery of that ship is 6-inch guns, and the Emden being kind of affected by this, but I don't think it's going to be a huge impact because it means just a little bit, 100 and something meters per second less now, so that means longer travel, so that is a higher trajectory, so that might be even good in a sense because the shells were too flat before. And then some changes in the kind of explosive mass used on a few shells, nothing major. The weight of some of the explosive mass on, again, 5-inch guns of the German ships. This is the HE from 2 kilos to 1.905. Wow. The radio fused from 1.4 to 1.905 kilograms as the HE shell, which makes sense. There's not much difference here. And then the big one is the weight of the explosive mass has been fixed on the following USS Navy shells. The 14-inch Mk9 HE goes from 40 to 47.62 kilograms. This is a huge shell from the USS Arizona, which was big and now is even bigger. And then the 14-inch, the APCVC, from a respectable 14.29 to 15.55 kilograms. Not much, but I guess it's going to be noticeable. For naval modifications and crew skills, we have the artillery strike of the coastal fleet has been improved, damage area has been increased by 30%, time of shells falling has been reduced by half, and number of shells in a salvo has been increased to 25 shells. You might think, well, not big deal. This actually is, because to increase the amount of the salvo of the shells falling to 25 is huge. Now it is a proper barrage. And then it is also reducing the time from which, whenever you click and you start seeing the shells falling, by half. So you're going to be able to be more accurate. And third, the damage area has been increased by 30%. So the area where the damage is done when the shell falls is 30% bigger. And that is a lot. So you can expect to destroy other PT boats very efficiently with this, and to damage DDs like cruisers and anything that you shoot this at. It still remains to be seen the amount of damage that you're going to be able to do with a artillery strike to a battleship, but I suppose that we're going to see those more often now. And last, another classic of the naval war games, the Supermarine Walrus, has been added to the HMS Southampton, so this is always welcomed. More immersion, in my opinion, in naval RV is the way to go. Let's just see the new artillery strike in action. And for that we have our little Fletcher there, sat, just waiting for us to drop it on top of him, and let's see. Okay, Mr. Fletcher, it's coming down for you. Oh, he felt that. Got a direct hit. 2. And that was an impressive amount of artillery coming down there. Nice. Mr. Fletcher is no more. That's a cool artillery strike, I have to say. Well done, Gaijin. And now here we have the two main changes, in my opinion. This is the armor plates for blue water ships. And it does say as follows: in previous updates, vertical armor on battleships was divided into plates. Battleships. Each plate received separate damage from hits, could be damaged, and as a result, might lose its properties over time with every single hit. In the Drone Age update, the division to the plates has received vertical armor to light and heavy cruisers. So I suppose this means also battle cruisers, which were in the same package as battleships. But anyway. So light cruisers and heavy cruisers, armor degradation. This mechanic has also been changed. No plate can now be destroyed and no longer be part of the damage model, but it can be weakened by taking enough damage. Damage plates still remain in place. Every subsequent shell that hits the plate can either penetrate behind the armor without interacting with it, or explode on the armor with penetration of HE damage and or fragments, fully or partly. Interesting. The calculation of the armor plate damage is based on the ratio of the shell's armor penetration and the thickness of the armor at the point of impact. as always. The plate might begin to receive damage that will result in a partial loss of its properties if the shell almost succeeds in penetrating it. Almost. The key here is almost. So even if you don't fully penetrate, if you almost do it, you start degrading the degradation of the plate, I think. Shells whose penetration is much less than the thickness of the plate, by taking into account the given thickness, are not able to cause such damage to it. And it is much less penetration than the thickness. The degree of the damage to the plate depends on the kinetic energy of the shell and the thickness of the plate itself. The kinetic energy in game should be affected by the mass of the shell, and then its velocity, its muzzle velocity. The mass being constant and the muzzle velocity is not. So it might vary with, the longer the shell is on the air, the more energy, the more kinetic energy is going to lose because of the air friction. The game model shows this in the variation of penetration of the different shells with the longer distance. For example, a 152mm semi-armor piercing shell at a distance of 8 to 10 kilometers will not be able to do damage to armor plates of 110 to 120mm thickness if the ship is at an angle to the fire. Same shells will have a chance to damage if the ship is facing the fire with its side flat. And with the reduction of the distance to 5 to 7 kilometers, such plates would be almost guaranteed to take damage and penetrate if a particular shell has enough armor penetration. Great. I wish I could see some of your faces right now, but what this means is that from now on, you can't rely on the armor. So if you are continuously being hit, your armor is going to lose efficiency and you are going to be damaged by calibers that without this system in place would not do any damage to you. And you are going to start feeling this with light cruisers and heavy cruisers, not just battleships and battle cruisers. That means that ships that were, in my opinion, in a bad spot, that is from 5.3 to 6.0, are in an even worse one because their armor now loses efficiency. But it also means that the heavy cruisers, like cruisers from 4.7 to 5.0, which never face battleships, are now going to be more vulnerable to smaller ships with smaller calibers. I suppose that this is the kind of change that we will only see if it was good or not with time. But anyway, I believe that these kind of changes should be applied only on realistic and on simulator, because on arcade, a system like this, in my opinion, it doesn't have a place. The second biggest change, in my opinion, is that the mechanics of detonation of the cellars from firing the turrets, elevators and barbettes of large ships have been corrected. Fire that can cause a detonation in the ammunition cellar can originate in the cellar itself or descend there from the turret of the main caliber through the barbette and elevator. Sound as always. The player will now have more time to take action to eliminate the fire. The spread of fire down from the turret to the cellar has been slowed, and the time the fire will affect the cellar itself before it detonates has been increased. This is, remember, in large ships. So destroyers are going to continue to blow up into pieces once you have a fire that is next to the ammunition. So it looks like the battleship players and heavy cruisers are going to have more time when they don't have the extinguishers researched. So that's good news. I don't know. Yet, what I know is that The very occasional detonations that we saw previously before this patch, when the fire spread into the magazines and you had your fire extinguishers researched, are gonna disappear. And we are going to be left with the ones that happen when you don't have the fire extinguishers researched. So less deaths because of the fire, but then the armor is worst, I suppose. And the last bit of this section is that the Admiral Grafspee, the Admiral Hipper, the Prince Eugen, and the HMS Belfast, the crew from reserve compartments have been redistributed in favor of control, engine, and boiler rooms. I believe that this means that there's going to be more crew lower in the ship and in places where there's more armor. So this, you can expect these ships to be more survivable from this patch, if I'm not mistaken. Then fusing threshold has been increased for all shells larger than 283 millimeters with delay. New threshold varies from 15 to 26 millimeters. So this is good news for destroyers, as there's going to be more over penetration happening. Then the USS Arizona, the IJN Tone, Admiral Hipper, Prince Eugen, the size and location of the fuel tanks have been adjusted. Okay. IJN Mogami, Susuya, and Mikuma, the armor in the area of the stern traverse has been corrected. Not much of an impact. And we get to a few changes in the visual models and parts. Sound, nothing that is gonna affect gameplay a lot. The Type T51 model has been changed, and then the USS Helena has the right scout plane now, and the Trenton as well. Good. And the time of ship disappearance when behind a smoke screen, which prevents it from being visible in the sight, has been reduced. And the time of reappearance of the ships from behind the smoke screen has been increased. This is good news for ships that rely on the smoke screen for their survivability. So yeah, also good. And the main thing itself, which is the changes in VR. One that is very positive, not right now, but it shows the trend. It's that there's some decompression. We go up to 7.0 and we are getting closer to jets. We are actually, I think the Japanese do have a 7.0 jet with bombs as well. So yeah, fun times. That it's marking the path to which we are going to see in the future. So we're going to see like the top tier battleships be against jets and modern fighters, and then we are going to see them against modern surface combatants with anti-ship missiles and whatnot. So if anyone had any doubt, now they can clearly see the direction the game is taking. If you take a look to the technology that they are adding to the other game modes, and that will eventually come into Naval. So yeah, if you were in this game because of the World War II models and everything, yeah, that's just going to change very soon. So sad news for that, people, because as you know, in War Thunder there's no place for the historical stuff, and that's sad. Biggest change here is that the USS Northampton, it goes from 5.0 to 5.3, effectively taking it away from the game. Because who the hell wants to make a 5.3 lineup? It's just nonsense, because you're going to be facing battleships. But anyway, the Northampton is now a 5.3. I mean, 5.3 lineups are still doable, but you have to. The main thing that you have to take in consideration are those games where you are just against battleships and you have a light or a heavy cruiser to play with them. There's ways around it, obviously, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. Then the Mixture and the Wilkinson from 4.3 to 4.7, not a big change. Germany, Bayern, top tier, 7.0, Scharnhorst 7.0. On the Soviet Navy, the Parizhskaya Comuna 6.72 7.0 and the Kronstadt 6.7 7.0. Kerch, the Italian light cruiser 5.0 to 5.3. Not a huge change. I don't see why they've changed there. Mainly it's because the reload rate, I suppose. But Krasny Krim, this is again another big change, 5.0 to 5.3. This ship was crazy in survivability and is now rendered useless at 5.3. For the British, we've got the Hood and the Marlborough, which go to 7.0. And then, interestingly, the Dreadnought, which was suffering, goes down to 6.3. Then we have the HMS Dido going up to 5.3. Hawkins and Arethusa, that was the marvelous trio going from 5.0 to 5.3. I said Dido before because in-game right now is still 5.0. So I don't know if this is a mistake. And then the HMS Liverpool 5.3 to 5.7. I don't know why, because it does have less firepower than the Belfast. And it still gets changed to 5.7. Viva el Gaijin Logic. For the Japanese, the Kongo and Aruna go up to 7.0 and the Hyuga to 7.0. Sound. Italy, Trento, it gets hit again by the nerf pad, goes up to 5.3, again making this ship utterly useless. If it wasn't enough by putting a repair cost, an insane repair cost on this ship, now it is 5.3, and yeah, we're not gonna be playing this again. Raimondo Montecuccoli and the Eugenio Di Savoia go up to 5.7 following the trend. It doesn't make much sense in my opinion, but it does change little for them as they are still useless. Okay, so for the last bit of the video, we are gonna take a look on the new additions to the game. We're gonna take a look at the new models one by one. Okay, so if we take a look into the SMS Elbing, what we have in front of us is a World War I cruiser, and it goes up to 51, I believe. So that's a quite decent speed for such an old machine. Then the crew is 442, which is a bit on the low, I would say. But then taking consideration that this ship is 4.7. This ship does have 6-inch guns. Apparently they were the first ones to be armed with them. They all have 150 rounds, which is not much, but it's still okay. And the reload rate is 7 rounds per minute, which is a bit slow, but okay. It doesn't have a ready-to-use ammo anywhere, so that's good for its survivability. It does have big fuel tanks, and these are coal bunkers. Yep. So this acts as armor as well. Have a couple torpedoes, and these do move, I believe. The anti-air is practically non-existent. In these 4 guns here do fire once every 6 seconds, so you can't rely on that with the ship. That means you're gonna have to rely on your teammates for anti-air cover, and we all know how that ends. Transmission, you can see the big gears, big engines. You have 3 blocks of them, so sound. The firepower apparently is the good part of this ship. So you have HE with 1.6 kilograms of TNT on them. Semi-ammo piston, great. Only just 1 kilo of TNT on them, not bad. And then enough penetration to do damage to some TVs and very light cruisers. And then the AP, which is going to give you the chance to penetrate light cruisers of higher BRs. And then here we have it, is the Andrea Doria. I was looking forward to this, but I was looking forward to get the World War II configuration of it. Well, the World War II configuration is my favorite ship of all times. The thing is sexy as hell. The World War I version of it does have what I like from this ship, which is the triple guns on the lower turret and then the double on the top one, just like it. And the train continues onto the the World War II version. The good thing about the World War I version, the one that is actually in game right now, is that you have a mid turret which puts in a very respectable 13 shells in the air. And then we have a good semi-armor piston shell with a few sensitivity, good penetration and good filler. The AP shell, it has really good penetration, but it lacks in the explosive mass department. 5.6 kilos is not much in my opinion, but still usable to a good effect. So yeah, it's gonna be lacking into the punch, let's say. This ship is gonna shine at destroying heavy cruisers and other battle cruisers. The fire rate is 2 rounds per minute, and the guidance, the targeting speed is not great either, but it's a battleship at the end of the day. So what do you expect? Then you have a couple torpedo tiers, which they might come in use, might be handy. And apart from that, it's a very standard battleship. If we look into the armor, this is something that it's the best point of this ship, but it's not great. It's only 250 just below the waterline, and then there's massive ammunition storages. The coal bunkers do help. Then the arrangement on the secondaries is again kind of typical, and I'm afraid that the anti-air capabilities of the Andrea Doria is not its forte as well. We finally have the Alaska, which has been in the game for quite a long time, but they haven't added it just because it wasn't its time, and apparently now it is. So yeah, the Alaska is a Baltimore in steroids. It's basically an enlarged cruiser, and we mean that because the armor protection of it is not great. But again, this ship is just a battle cruiser, and you should be focusing on killing other cruisers and hitting other battle cruisers, not putting this ship against battleships. The thing is, right now in game, that thing is rare to happen because it's all mixed up, and it's random battles, everything's random. So yeah, that's not gonna happen, so take that in consideration. And yeah, it's a fast battle cruiser. It does have nearly 2,000 crew members in it, so that's going to add to the survivability. And one of the main things is that if you are on a plane, don't get close to this thing because the amount of AA is just great. Great if you are inside the Alaska controlling it. If you are on the plane side of things, don't get close to this thing. It's it's very powerful. The long range, it's same as the Baltimore, let's say, or the Cleveland, or one of those. The thing is, the short range is just ridiculous. So don't try and bomb one of these. And then you have the main gun. The main gun has 36 kilograms of explosive mass. This is the HE shell. Sound, it's good. It's a 12-inch gun. And then you have an APDC shell, which has a 7.89 kilo of explosive mass. The penetration is quite good. And the thing is, the explosive mass is not great, but it's much better than the one in Andrea Doria. So you can't really complain. So yeah, that's the Alaska, guys. Then we have the Cyclone. The Cyclone is just a patrol vessel with a couple light guns, one forward, one aft, and then you have access to search radar, not tracking, a couple machine guns on the sides, and that's pretty much it. This is just basically a fast artillery support ship. That's what it is. Another great addition to the game is the Mikhail Kutuzov, which is more of the same basically. This is a cruiser that it's already in game, but it's just on a later configuration. Don't get close to this thing. This will shred to pieces any aircraft coming closer. You can't get any closer to this than 8 kilometers. That's the kill zone of this ship. And again, it's just another Selevnyakov, it's another Sverdlov, nothing new here. And then for the Commonwealth, for the British, we've got a amazing, we've just got another patrol boat, more than one. So yeah, it's a nice addition to the game. So it does have a fast firing 40mm in the front and a machine gun at the back. That's all it has. This is again this is a not so fast artillery support vessel. And then for the Japanese, I am looking forward to put it and to play on the 4.3 lineup of the Japanese, which is a very fun one to play. And this is a Hatsuharu. It's a nice addition because it does have a couple more torpedoes than any other. This is screaming up TME. It does have a layout that is kind of wonky, but that's why you like the Japanese ships in it. So at the front, you have a turret with just a single gun on it. These are, again, dual purpose, and yeah, these are good guns. Just bear in mind, you don't have semi-ammo piecing or AP, you just have HE and HE time fuse cells. But again, the elevation is really good, so you should always use them as dual purpose. And then instead of having two turrets at the back, you have an extra torpedo tube. These come as triple mounts in the ship, so you have 3 of those, and they do have reloads, so that is a total of 18 torpedoes. Great. This is just great. Then it's, again, as any other destroyer of the Japanese, survivability is not its forte, and anti-air cover, again, is rather shite. In this particular ship, you have 2 of the 40mm, which are kind of all right. These are pom-poms, and I like them, but it's just not enough. But yeah, as I said, I'm looking forward to play this because these ships are really fun to play, and the 4.3 lineup is one that I actually enjoy. And the final one, we have another addition for the Italians. It's on a 4.3, which is a bracket that the Italians have well covered, in my opinion. But it's another addition, a ship that is just gonna be there for like a second spawn for you, because the Corazziere is much better than this, in my opinion. It's faster, and it does have better anti-air cover, if I recall correctly. But anyway, this is another 4.3 Italian destroyer, and yeah, is more of the same. It does have the same ballistics, which are kind of decent, and then it does have bad anti-air. Good thing is that these are the same torpedoes, and they go up to 10 kilometers and down to 70 kilometers per hour once you put the torpedo mode on them, which makes them kind of usable at mid ranges. If you want them for like to ambush with them, they're really good because they are very fast, but then the range, it's only 4 kilometers. If they were 5 or 5.5, I would be very happy with these torpedoes, but they're not. That's why I tend to use them with the torpedo mode. Anyway, the anti-air cover is not great. You have 4 double mounts of the Bredas, which are kind of okay for short range, and then you have 40mm, the Termis. These are fast firing, and I kind of like them, and the reload rate is not bad, and yeah, it's kind of a short range cover, anti-air cover, so it's okay. Then you have plenty of fuel tanks and massive, so you're going to be on fire for long periods of time, and they are very close to the magazines, which you all know what that means. That means, fireworks. But that's why you like Italy, innit? Because of their risk and the wonkiness of them, I suppose. I love them. And then if we look into the ballistics, we have the good old HE, and then AP shell, which is going to give you the chance to fight against bigger vessels. Good thing is this is only 4.3, so it's not going to face many of the 5.7s and 6.0. So in that respect, the compression is actually working in naval. We can start to see it work. And then you have the ammunition with the time fuse, which is okay. And you should be using it with Italy because your cover is shite. So bear in mind that your vertical guidance is not great. So yeah, that's the Regia Marina da Verazzano. Great addition, if you ask me. I'm not going to be playing this much because I have a much better lineup at the 4.3. But with the Gioniere and Corazziere and all of them. So yeah, the Soldati class overshadows this ship for now. But for people that didn't got the Soldatis and have to stick with the Corazziere, this is going to be a nice addition for them.